Hello, everybody. It's Mark here, and that's me. That's me giving a presentation on teaching writing at the English Australia Conference. Let's jump into today's lesson, and that is the reading section. I haven't done this before, so hopefully you can follow this. Quickly, I want to give a shout out, one, to a student of mine named Junki. He got a 7 in his IELTS test, including an 8.5 in reading. Also, someone came to see me at Primus in the Melbourne area, and that was Harvinder. Harvinder, please let us know. How did you do on your test? Because we don't know yet. Anyway, let's get right to work. So I'm going to put away that. I'm going to put away this guy. And I'm going to put away that. Oh, and let's get into reading. All right, so I'm not going to waste any time here. This is how you can improve your reading, the most important thing, and get a high score. And I'll change that. It's not 2 tips. It's tips to improve your reading and get a high score. So first of all, read the whole text first. I know, do not skim and scan. Do not read the questions first, especially when you're practicing. You want to become a better reader. That means you can read quickly and you can follow ideas, all right? My advice and the way I teach, Daniel in my class, Junki, sorry, he read the text first and he improved his reading. You want to get a good score? Be a better reader. Secondly, read quickly. You don't need to understand every single thing. If you miss something, go forward. Push yourself to read a little bit faster. This is what I tell my students. You should be a little bit uncomfortable. Read a little bit faster than you normally do, all right? If you don't understand something, fine, go forward. Most important thing while you're reading, identify the key idea of each paragraph and write it down on the booklet, all right? Identify the main idea, the topic, the essence, the spirit. As you'll see, these can become quite predictable. If I make more of these videos, you will really begin to see. So that's the first thing you do when you read quickly. Try your best to understand what each paragraph is about. Underline names, numbers, places, organizations, all right? Underline them or possibly circle them. Let's change that. Or circle any number, name, or people, places. That's something we'll show you. Then you answer the questions, obviously, but do that at the end. You go back and find the answers. At the end, after you've checked all your answers, 1, learn new vocabulary. If any vocabulary was a problem for you, learn it. That's it. Then check your mistakes. This is the most important thing to do. A lot of people are a bit scared to do this. Let me fix that. Go back and understand why the correct answer is correct. Every time I do a practice test or every time I do a reading activity, we go back and understand why they were wrong and why the correct answer is correct. This is the most important thing you should be doing. Understand why. It will help you get a few more, maybe 1 more, maybe 2 more correct the next time you're practicing. That is extremely important. Okay? Please check over the answers. Finally, practice reading quickly and understanding the paragraphs. You want to try and read the text quickly, 6 minutes to 8 minutes, all right? And if you're thinking, Mark, it takes me too long, you must increase your speed. If you're trying to get a 7 or 8 in reading, you need to be a faster reader, all right? So if you've been stuck at a 5 or 6, this is for you, all right? Also, today's lesson I got from the Focus on IELTS book. So it's a fantastic book. You can find it on Amazon.com or any other bookseller. It's a wonderful book. I use it in my classes here in Primus English at Melbourne. This is the text we're looking at, The Ecology of Hollywood. Now, I don't expect you to read this because it might be a bit hard on your eyes, but if you want to stop, you can read it. I'm not sure that you can fit all that in your screen. I'll try to format the bit a bit better for you. Well, there's the first one. You can either stop now and read that. All right, that's the first few paragraphs, and then you can go on to this part here. So you can stop the video and read that. So that's one option you've got. But what I've done is I've got it nicely set up right here. All right, so here we go. This is the text all nicely written out. So what I would recommend is I'll go through it and, well, I'll tell you what, you just read it, read the first paragraph, all right? Read that first paragraph, pause it, read it over, and just try to understand, like, what's the main idea here? What is the essence of this paragraph? Pause it, and in 1 second, I will give you the answer. All right, welcome back. I'm sure you all read that, and some of you maybe have an idea, some of you don't. When I read this, what I mostly see is a problem, all right? Like, that's the simple way to understand it. Problem, and maybe that problem is population, okay? Really think about what that could be, all right? And let's make this look nice. Problem and that there, okay? So that's something I want you to focus on, is just identifying each paragraph. Now, in the text, my advice would be to write it right next to the paragraph. So if it's my students, they just write it there. They make a nice big fat mess of this book. I love messy books. You're not going to go sell it later. Just make a big mess of it. Secondly, you've got numbers here, all right? So I'd circle those, okay? And ideally, you want to know why this is the issue, and that's it, right? Support 200,000, not 15 million. Next paragraph. Now, little tip. Read the first sentence and see if you can get an idea of what the paragraph is about. Then read the whole thing and see if you can see what it's about. Okay, now welcome back. A little hint. This is a very common second or third paragraph. I always say history. That's a key point to be focused on. So I'm going to write that a little bit here. Now, a lot of texts in the IELTS test will have a history paragraph. Keep that in mind. However, it does kind of change a little bit here, and then it talks about air pollution. But as you can see, Los Angeles has transformed. Used to be 4,000. Now it creates a lot of greenhouse emissions. So it gets more into environment here. So it's a tough one. This one's a little bit about history, but also a little bit about problem environment. Okay, so it's not a great paragraph because it's kind of got 2 points, but just something to keep in mind when you're reading. History is a common topic of a paragraph. Go ahead, have a read on the third one. This one, I would say just go with that first sentence. Contradictions, right? All the contradictions. Used to be this, now it's this, right? Paradoxically, people did this, but now it's this. So just keep that in mind. These things, this one's a little less predictable. Also, if the word contradiction was a problem, you should know this word to be getting a higher score. Go take a look at that in the dictionary. All right, now here's where we really get into it. Take a moment, read over this, and see if you can identify the topic of the paragraph. Press pause. Okay, welcome back. All right, once again, they've identified very clearly problem, water. Okay, so there's our problem. And, one thing I've forgotten to do actually is talk about names and numbers, right? So we've got that number, which we should have paid attention to. We've got this number we should have paid attention to. 4,000 population, 40% suffering. All right, that's important. Now looking here, you've got Los Angeles Aqueduct. That's something you should be focused on, a place. Now everything's about Los Angeles, so we don't need to keep going through Los Angeles, but that's a key point. William Mulholland, the engineer, all right? He should be in there. Owens Valley, what about it? That's where the water's coming from. So always identify the place and why it's important, right? Owens Valley, why are we talking about it? That's where the water comes from. So we underline that. You might go with Hollywood as well. Within 10 years, okay, within 10 years. All right, so read this paragraph, and it actually goes all the way down to here. So take a minute, read that over, press pause. Welcome back. I'm sure you read it. Within 10 years, the city needed more. All right, so you can already see in that first sentence, problem, need more water. In 1940, okay, so what happened in 1940? Aqueduct was extended. Where? 160 kilometers to Mono Lake. All right, so again, focus on the names and why they're important. California was able to tap into Arizona via the Colorado River Aqueduct. Great. 1964, Supreme Court. All right. So again, you've read this paragraph, you've got another problem. Not enough water. All right. I will admit this one's a little bit easier because a lot of them are problem and what it is, but really, one paragraph is one idea. That's the one thing I teach my students more than anything. One paragraph, one idea. If there's more than one more than one idea in the paragraph, maybe it's been structured well, or maybe it's a bad paragraph. All right, so again, look at the places. San Francisco. So this effectively removes half the water that would flow there. So, again, why are they talking about San Francisco? Altering the flow of the fresh water into the Sacramento Delta. So again, there's your place, and it's all about this thing up here. Okay, problem, not enough water. All right, take a look at this one. All right, read over the first sentence. The first sentence will often tell you a lot, and then read the whole paragraph. Go ahead. All right. Now I look at this paragraph, and again, we've got looking for more water. All right. There's your main idea of the paragraph, because they talk about extraction. They talk about, the fact that they should be getting rainfall, but they're not. They talk about pipeline from Alaska, icebergs to Antarctica. All this paragraph is about looking for more water. To be honest, this is a harder one. A lot of times the first sentence will tell you everything. This one doesn't do that. Let's move forward. Have a read. Go ahead, read this paragraph. All right. We go on again. LA River. Sorry, I'm not doing this for everyone. 92 kilometers from Valley Long Beach. Good. They mentioned Hollywood Studios Chinatown. 1930s. Key idea there. All right. Jennifer Price. Okay, she's an environmental writer. So who is she? Why is she important? All right. Last one. Another problem. Oh, sorry. This is not. Where is it? Actually, this is the river. I've made a little mistake here. So here, this whole thing talks about the LA River. All right. Inevitably, the concrete flood controls. Ooh, here we go. So you have a read on this paragraph. The first sentence will tell you a lot. All right, welcome back. Environment. I'd say this one would be effect. So we've had problem. This is the effect. Disastrous ecological consequences. Destroying wetland areas. All right. Place, the Great Pacific Flyway. What about it? Right? It was a place for birds. Okay. And also, right, location for Hollywood car chases. Very cool stuff. All right. Now, we move on to the next paragraph. That's this one here. Go ahead. Have a look. All right. Welcome back. Restore the river. Okay. Right. Environmental group, government agencies. So now we're getting into solution. All right. Fix the environment. Let's just keep it simple. Very common thing at the end of a text. They start talking about solutions to the problem. Very common. Go ahead, read this one. All right. Now, in this paragraph here, we've got another one dealing with sustainability. Thank you. All right. Now, what happens here, you can see we've got Los Angeles again. We've got issues of fixing the environment. We've got Santa Monica. Now, what about Santa Monica? Recycling plant. So why are they talking about it? Always be aware of why they are talking about these places. Moving on here, we've got the final paragraph. Have a read. All right. Almost, I wouldn't say all, but the majority of texts that deal with, the majority of final paragraphs in a text are looking at the future. And you can even see here, it's very common, the future of nature. Okay, they talk about opposition, environmentalism in the 21st century. It's all about the future, linking communities. This one's a very positive one. So they're very proactive here. They're very optimistic. If you can fix the city, you can fix any city. And by the way, that's a great way to end an essay in your IELTS writing. I mean, ending with an if and some kind of warning or prediction. Now that's the reading. I'm just going to get right into it. I don't know how much, I don't think we have a lot of time left, so I'm just going to do a few of the questions so we can move forward. Now, let's look at this one. So again, Los Angeles Aqueduct, Colorado River Aqueduct, Californian Aqueduct, extraction. So we're not sure about all of them. But you know where they talked about Los Angeles Aqueduct. And that was over here. So we've got the Los Angeles Aqueduct talking about that right here. Read over those, read over these. Now my advice would be, if you know the answer, answer it. If you're not sure, you can wait. So Los Angeles Aqueduct, just quickly read over them and see what you think. Okay, now just to go to the answer, they talk about the Los Angeles Aqueduct here. They talk about it all here, and then within 10 years, the city needed more. So the answer is B. The supply was inadequate. The answer to 4 is B. If we look at another one, the Colorado River Aqueduct. Let's go back here. Colorado River Aqueduct. So we see that it's here. Have a look at the possible answers. Okay. So we know it's in this paragraph. The answer is in this paragraph. LA's entitlement was reduced by 50% by the U.S. Supreme Court. All right, so that means the amount of water which now can be drawn from this source is restricted. So that means the answer is D. Okay. I'm going to skip ahead here, you guys. You can take a look at these. I'll put all the answers in later. But it's kind of important that you take your time with this, all right? You're learning a new way, so please be very careful with how you do it. Let's take a look at some of the other questions. Many LA citizens have health problems caused by. So what we have to do here is match the letters to the number. They give you 10 letters and 4 numbers. Now remember, we had problems, and the questions will go in order of the text. So have a look up here. We remember this, right? There was the issue, the history, 40% of the population suffering from respiratory problems. So many LA citizens have health problems caused by, and again, this was all vehicle emissions, right here, J, exhaust fumes. So number 8 is J. Again, you guys can do all these by yourself. I'm not going to do all of them. Let's look here. LA is unique in the distance from which it brings its. Okay, so again, LA, and it's talking about bringing something. You should be able to guess what the answer is, I hope. But let's take a look at where they talk about Los Angeles and getting its water. So we know they talked about problem water. And they mention that here in the first sentence. Next sentence. No metropolis on the planet has looked farther afield for its supply than LA. That is a very complex piece of grammar. But no metropolis, no city, has looked farther than LA. That means water supply. Okay. Now, a few more that we'll do. I'll let you guys, if you want, take a look at these by yourselves. Let's have a look at the last one. Choose 3 letters. Which 3 of the following recent or planned developments in Los Angeles are mentioned by the writer? Planned developments. So we're talking about the future. That's looking at plans. All right, so they talked about that here. Okay? So again, you don't know the answer, but you know where to look for the answer, and that's the important thing. So we'll just look for a couple, and then I'll put the answers in. One of the easier ones, read over these. Some of them you know are wrong. If you know they're wrong, cross them out. That's one thing you can do. The other thing to do would be to just see where these answers are. So one of the answers, B, creating paths for walkers and horse riders, right? They talk about the solutions here. Nature walks, cycle paths, and equestrian trails. So that's our answer, B. Equestrian being horses. So B. Other ones. Collect runoff rainwater from buildings and redirect it. C. Collecting and storing rainwater. Be very careful. A lot of teachers will tell their students, look for synonyms. It's not really the synonym you want to look for, but the similar idea. All right, this one's nice and easy, so we'll go for the very last one as well. Again, these are in order, so it should make it a little bit easier. The last one in the last paragraph. The restoration of the LA rivers. That is right here, allowing the LA River to flow again. So just be careful. A lot of teachers say look for synonyms, and they're not going to say a similar way to saying allowing the LA River to flow again, but they're going to express the idea. It's not really synonyms. Restoration of LA rivers, allow the river to flow again. Anyway, you guys, so I really hope this did help you. The main thing that even if you don't watch the video or even if it's confusing, when you read these texts, identify the main idea of each paragraph and write it down. All right, these are my 2 main tips. That's how I got one of my students from, that's how I get my students from 6s to 8s and 8.5s. All right, it works. You have to be patient. The goal is to read faster and to read better. Please, if this helps or if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll try to get one of these out again soon. And good luck with your IELTS preparation.